Well, hello everyone. I am going to apologize in advance. I can hear my dogs are going nuts behind me. Hopefully it doesn't disturb the audio. If it does, Megan, feel free to jump in over me. You've heard me do these slides before. I just want to make sure that we're getting out information to our members. So everyone on the East Coast, thank you for spending your lunch hour with us. If you're in the UK, thanks for spending your happy hour with us. And for the people on the West Coast, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast. So with that, Megan, can we go to the next slide? So first off, these come straight from the ICEAA website, but I think they're always good to go over with everyone. So the vision for our profession is to be a vital, respectable, indispensable, and growing community of practice composed of ICEAA certified professionals recognized as the best in class. That's still the vision. The part that I have bolded there is growing. We really want to put an emphasis over this next year on growing our membership, on growing the number of certified professionals across our two different certifications. Well, actually, three different certifications that Kelly will be going over later. And then to be recognized as best in class. We want to have ICEAA and being an ICEAA member, attending the ICEAA workshop, and also having your certification means something for you as a career, but also for your employers, that they see a benefit, that makes you a more valuable asset and employee to them. So then what does that mean for the vision for our organization then? Well, that means I would like to have ICEAA be universally recognized across the international community for developing, disseminating, and advocating for the best practices within cost estimating, to provide better data to the decision makers across the public and private sector. Next slide. Again, this is all on the website, but always good for an annual refresher. The mission statement of ICEAA is ICEAA is an international nonprofit organization that's dedicated to advancing, encouraging, promoting, and enhancing the profession of cost estimating analysis through the use of parametrics and other data-driven techniques. Obviously, that continues to change. We're all learning. There's more data and more tools in our toolkit than ever before. We're on the verge of things like AI and machine learning that's already here and how we can implement those. I know so many of our ICEAA members are doing presentations on that and really furthering the profession. That's exactly what we're striving to facilitate. Next slide. So I think anybody who's read my President's Corner has seen these before, but I like to have metrics that say, how are we doing across those vision statement, the visions, and the mission statements? So I took some notes here, keeping people interested. So that's keeping ICEAA at the forefront of people's mind, that when they think of, I need to get training, I'm interested what else is being done in the profession right now, that's attending our workshops and chapter events. I think right now we're doing really well. Courtney Gray is on the line to speak later about the Atlanta workshop, but I can speak to those who might not have attended this year's workshop in Minneapolis. It was a resounding success. There were a lot of great discussions, so many good presentations. It really was keeping with our idea of keeping people interested in furthering the profession. Keeping people involved. There's a couple of shout outs I want to do on this one. As those of you may be aware that our executive director did have a little bit of a personal issue that had happened earlier this year that had her not attending the workshop. That meant so many of our volunteers had to really step it up, and so did the sponsors. And you guys answered that call. I would feel remiss if I missed anyone's name, but so many people know they went above and beyond this year, and I cannot thank you guys enough. We would not have been able to pull off the successful workshop that we did this year without you guys coming in to just be hands on deck, and I really, really appreciate that. I do also want to talk about that sometimes we are able to put out those very specific volunteer opportunities, but other times you guys, as our members, see areas that we could have improvement within ICEAA. So I want to give a quick shout out to Chris Massey, who is the Washington, D.C. chapter president. He noticed that we keep saying we want to involve the federal government and the leadership there, but we weren't successful in really understanding their needs. So Chris drafted up a charter and started within our board, within the international board, an alliance called the Federal Cost Estimating Leadership Alliance, which is reaching out to those really the decision level authorities across not just the DoD, but the civil agencies, and getting us some feedback as to how ICEAA can actually help them more. I think that's one of those really great things of seeing a need and coming to meet it on your own. And so, Chris, thank you for that. And thank you to all the federal leaders that are coming and talking to ICEAA, sharing your concerns, and helping us meet those. In part of keeping people informed, well, I'm really excited that everyone decided to give up their lunch hour. I know you guys are reading the magazine, you're attending this during your lunch hour. I think people want to know what's going on with ICEAA. So if we could do a better job of getting out that information to you, let us know. But I feel a little bit we're preaching to the choir. You're giving up your time here to get more informed, and I appreciate that. And then as far as sorry, I got one last one, Megan. Keeping people inspired. We always want to keep moving the ball forward. How can we push cost estimating? How can we get it faster, better, more reliable? How can we give decision makers the best tools? And so with that in mind, I really want to take the time to ask you guys to think about what is in your brain right now that you think we could do and get out there to our ICEAA community. So that's things like calling for journal articles for our journal and for the paper and submitting papers. And Courtney will talk about that in her section about the Atlanta workshop. I think that's all for right now on this one, Megan. So let's go to the next slide. So for right now, I didn't know how many new members would be on, so I wanted to make sure that you guys know who will be speaking today. So you have myself, Christina Snyder. I'm the international president for this current term. Unfortunately, Jennifer Kirchhofer was unable to make the call today, but our executive vice president, Kelly, will be speaking for her. We have Madeline Teller on the line, who's our treasurer, who is going to give us a little report about the financial status of ICEAA over the past year. And then Arlene, who is our international secretary, and Bob Hunt, who is going to talk about, as our past president, is going to talk about the nomination committee. Because as you see, our terms, this current term ends in 2025, and we are in the nomination time frame now. Next slide. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so I'm Bob Hunt. I'm the past president. The main role of the past president is to run the nominations committee. And so if you go to the next slide, here's the timeline. But let me just give you a word or two before we start. Many years we've had trouble recruiting people to run for office. And one of the reasons people don't run for office is they are concerned that they might not win the election and somehow that would look bad for them or they would be embarrassed. Let me just encourage you. It's part of a process. It's worth doing. It is not a popularity contest. You may or may not win. I just encourage you to run even if you nominate yourself, it's a way to get known in the organization, a way to understand how the process works. So the process is pretty straightforward. The committee needs to be formed by the 15th of October, and we'll get that done next week. Nominations, intent to run. Yes, you can nominate yourself. Needs to be done by the 1st of November. January the 10th, the nominations close. February the 1st, the slate of candidates is announced. Voting is done between March and April the 15th, and the new board is announced on the 1st of May. Again, let me encourage you to run for office. I, in fact, served as treasurer and vice president and president and now past president. It is worthwhile. It is the way to understand much more about where we go and help us grow and accomplish the goals that Christina has set forward. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Christina.
Thanks, Bob.
One other slide, and that was the what's from the bylaws, but I think I just said all that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Christina.
Yeah, so I do want to touch on this one. Sorry, Megan, we keep making you go back and forth. So guys, those deadlines really are set in stone. As you see, all the dates that are in red, those are from our bylaws. So I have given the direction. I was previous international secretary. I have taken the stance with this that those dates are hard and fast because they are in the bylaws. So we're presenting them to you now. You see there's more than enough time to allow the nominating committee to know that you're interested. If you would like to serve on the nominating committee, please reach out to Bob. I will tell you let me get off the video, get on video. Sorry, guys. I will tell you, as somebody who has worked on the nominating committee before, Bob hit the nail on the head. A lot of times people think, well, I don't know if I have time for this, and what's the ask? How much work are each of the positions? I would encourage you, if you're interested at all, reach out to Megan. If you don't feel comfortable reaching out to one of the executive committee themselves, but I'm happy to discuss with anybody of what the workload is. We need fresh faces. We need new ideas. And it has come to my attention before that we really would like to have multiple candidates for each one of the open positions. So please think about it and let us know if you have any questions. So thank you, Bob. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, who is going to be presenting for Jennifer.
All right. Hello, everyone. Like Christina said, I'm Kelly Benefiel, and I'm serving as the Executive Vice President. Prior to this, I was the Region 5 Director for 2 terms. So yes, and Jennifer put together some great information, and I'm going to be speaking mostly on her behalf. Okay, so just a reminder, we have the CBOC 2.0 that has been live for a while now. It's on the, when you log in, you can access it. It's a Wikipedia style website, and that is included in your ICEAA membership. We have also launched the CBOC S, the software CBOC, which is a collection of PowerPoint, Excel, and PDF files. It's available for purchase online to download at the ICEAA online store, and the costs for those are listed below. So the cost estimating body of knowledge is very user-friendly. You can access it within your browser. It's got training resources as well built in, and is organized into 16 modules that cover 5 general subject areas. And this is the primary resource for studying for the ICEAA certification exam, and includes all of the relevant information that you would need in order to pass that exam. This site was designed to facilitate self-study and small group study, and can also be used effectively within a classroom environment. And like I mentioned before, it's free for all active ICEAA members. Another major resource available are the CBOC videos. So ICEAA has adopted a new software system, and you now have on-demand access to CBOC-based training videos that cover all 16 modules. Some of the modules are combined per video. For example, modules 1 through 3 are 1 video. And the price for ICEAA members is $75 per video, or $495 for all 12. And then for non-members, $150 per video, or $655 for all 12. So these videos are designed to help strengthen your study of the CBOC material, and are not meant to replace studying the CBOC itself, but can be an excellent supplemental resource. The cost estimating body of knowledge software provides all of the guidance and essential considerations in software cost estimating that would demonstrate all software sizing methods and allow users to draw their own conclusions about the merits of any given method. So it is method agnostic. It provides instructions for undertaking software estimating, including all phases of the software estimating lifecycle, and is built upon the cost estimating best practices that are outlined in the CBOC itself. And it's available at the ICEAA store, as mentioned before, and available for purchase. So if you are a software cost estimator or you're interested in becoming certified in software cost estimating through ICEAA, please do consider these valuable resources for your studying as well. Okay, now let's review the ICEAA certification program overview, since we do have this new certification available as well. So as normal, as you're used to, we still have our PCEA and CCEA. The PCEA is our apprentice level certification. It's valid for 3 years and requires that you pass part 1 of the exam. You can renew it only by retaking the exam itself. And then the CCEA is our primary professional certification. It's valid for 5 years and is renewable through the point system, and it requires that you pass parts 1 and 2 of the exam. And then we also now have the software cost estimator certification, which is a specialization that demonstrates mastery of software estimation. It's valid for 5 years and renewable by the point system, similar to the CCEA. These certifications provide the professional credentials that set the standard for the entire cost estimating and analysis community. It offers employers and individuals a means of distinguishing and achieving excellence, and demonstrates your mastery of the basic and intermediate knowledge in this field. And these certifications strengthen your and your organization's ability to produce quality cost estimates and to perform quality analysis. The exam itself is 2 parts. Part 1 is foundational knowledge and some practical application. In order to attain your PCEA, you must pass part 1. And that is regardless of your experience level. So you can take it whether or not you have work experience and be granted the PCEA. For parts 1 and 2, Part 2 has more advanced analysis in it, but they both cover the full span of the CBOC material, modules 1 through 16. And if you pass the parts 1 and 2 and you have 2 to 5 years of cost estimating experience, you're awarded your CCEA when you meet 5 years. And then if you pass it with 5 or more years already of cost estimating experience, you obtain your CCEA. So if you only had, say, like 4 years of experience and you pass parts 1 and 2, you're awarded the PCEA until you reach that 5-year mark, and then you would be moved to the CCEA. To take the SCEC exam, this covers the foundational knowledge of software cost estimating, and it requires 2 years of relevant cost or software-related cost estimating experience, and you need to pass that to obtain that certification. To apply for certification, you can go to ICEAA Online and go to the application section of the website, wait for your approval, and then log in to pay your exam fee. The exam we have moved to an online AI proctored testing system, which has been absolutely fantastic, and it allows you to take the test at any time, anywhere. If you prefer to manually take the exam with a live proctor, there is a surcharge that covers printing, shipping, and other coordination, including finding a proctor and then scoring. So now that we have this awesome online system for the exam, we have a lot more data, which is amazing. So combining the data we have from before we moved to the data we have for the last few years on the online, we can provide you some predictors of exam success. When are people more likely to pass the certification exam? these folks typically have 3 to 20 years of experience. So especially those supporting U.S. national security related agencies, though not required. Those are just predictors. So take it with a grain of salt. The CBOC studying is a good predictor. People who don't study tend to not pass as often, which makes sense. And then participating in an employer-sponsored study group is also a great predictor of exam success, and experience teaching one or more modules at the conference or at other workshops, or providing exam questions are also predictors of exam success. Some things to note about the exam: it favors breadth over depth. So it's more like an umbrella certification. It covers a wide variety of topics, none to any great, extensive detail. They even out your experience. So you will encounter questions on areas that you have little or no professional experience. We can't do everything. We tend to specialize in certain areas of cost estimating. That will even out on the exam. The quantitative and deductive skills are at a premium, especially on the ICEAA, this part 2 portion, but there is no advanced math required. There are no trick questions. We very carefully vetted the questions, especially with the online data that we have, to make sure that the questions are fair, reasonable, and that people are answering them in the manner that we would expect them to. And the great majority of protests about exam questions tend to come from passing students who got the question right. But we do always, take into consideration when people have concerns or questions about the exam, and we, revisit as needed. Okay, so you've passed the exam, you're certified. Now you need to get recertified. This material is from an article that I wrote to help remind people that recertification is important. 5 years can go by like that. And if you don't start early on your recertification, you can end up scrambling to get all of your points, especially if you don't attend the workshop annually. So we'll just briefly cover getting recertified. So having your ICEAA certification, we've already talked about the importance of that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this field, but this is how your company wins new work. It's how you remain gainfully employed and boost your professional qualifications and establish yourself in this community of experts. So to recertify, you need 30 points over 5 years. If you fail to meet this requirement, you have to retake the exam. So you need basically just your work experience remaining working in the field is 3 points a year. So that's 15 points right off the bat. That's half your points. Being a member is a point a year. So that's another 5 points. And if you attend the ICEAA workshop annually, that's 2 points a year, which is 10 points. So if you met all of those criteria, you would have your recertification requirements met without doing anything else. However, if you don't meet any of those, you'll need to boost your recertification points by other means. So you could actively do any one of these activities. I won't go through this. It's kind of an eye chart, but this is available for you to look at all the time. But you can take on chapter leadership or win awards, teaching, lecturing, presenting at workshops, things like that all get you recertification points. And just to give you an idea of why you should not wait to do all your recertification at the last minute. If you're not attending the workshops, then you could volunteer 20 hours a year, or you could do all 100 hours in 1 year. You could teach 2 lunch and learns at your organization a year, or do 10 in 1 year to scramble. You could spread out 20 hours of training each year versus 100 in the last rush. Or you could publish 1 paper a year versus trying to churn out 2 to 4 in all at once. So that's why we like to remind you to think about recertification annually. And if you miss the workshop, try to replace those points within the same year, so you're not trying to catch up all at the end. With that, I'll turn it over to our ICEAA treasurer.
All right, thank you so much, Kelly. So I'm going to talk a bit today about our financial position and what everyone can do to contribute to ICEAA. So it has been a tough year for us financially. And, even though the COVID emergency situation has been over for a while, we're actually still facing the impacts of it. Both we were not able to obtain a COVID grant that we were expecting this year. And then there's just been an overall upward trend of prices. And these are factors that are going to impact how well we do with the workshop profits and then even our day-to-day operating expenses. We have to keep the lights on. So if you look at this chart, over the past few years, we'll see that, we went in very strong at the end of 2019. We took it was a very rough year, 2020. And then moving forward, we started to recover. And then unfortunately, just with that COVID grant, that was a very big contributor to a rough year for us. And even based on what we were expecting at the beginning of our 2024, we are continually looking for ways that we can save on costs. The business office is great. They take on a lot of responsibility. We look for additional sources of revenue. The business office cannot do it alone, though. The workshop is really where we're pulling in most of our money annually. So we love seeing people there. It's a good time, I think. But really, there are some ways maybe if we optimize our member engagement, we can start to hopefully move into a stronger financial position moving forward and stay sustainable as an organization. Thanks. All right. So what can membership do to help? We don't exist without our members. And by all the things you can do to get the most out of your membership, that really actually helps the organization as a whole by having a strong membership and engaged membership that will really provide more opportunities for everybody across the board, but it's really going to help the organization thrive. Managers, seasoned employees, help encourage your coworkers to join ICEAA, to participate, to get certified. Even if you know somebody that has been in the cost estimating field for 20 years and they're not a member, it's a great opportunity to get them to join and, add their knowledge to our general collective knowledge. There are also chapter events. This is a source of, it costs money to do events. However, companies can sponsor or host those events. They can encourage attendance and engagement at them, which will in turn provide more networking opportunities, both for sponsors and attendees. And if attendees at the conference and at chapter events are really seeing the value for going, they're more likely to step up and want to attend and sponsor again. A big thing a lot of people don't consider, and I am guilty of this myself, I hate social media, but engage on LinkedIn. When you like or share a post on LinkedIn, that's going to show it to a lot more people within your network. My network is mostly cost estimators. So if I go and share an ICEAA post, it's going to hit cost estimators. And maybe some of them that don't know and aren't currently active in the organization, they may take that to their management chain and be like, wow, this conference seems like a great learning opportunity. Can you send me? Finally, Christy has touched on this, and submit papers and abstracts for the journal and the workshop. And by putting in those contributions, there's going to be a more valuable knowledge base created for the members, and it will then again in turn help with the knowledge base by keeping those academic resources current and updated. That's going to help with industry trends and also with cost estimating, best practices being available to people, and then they'll really see the value for their membership. All right. And it looks like, okay, thanks. I'll hand it over to Arlene and she'll give the secretary's report.
Arlene, are you on mute?
Sorry, I had her. She'll be on in just a second.
Okay.
I am now not on mute. Sorry, Zoom wasn't letting me do it. So good afternoon, morning, wherever you are. I am here to talk about a sad thing that's happened to the cost community. Can you do the next slide, please, Megan? As probably most of you know, Dale Sherman, who I considered a good friend, he worked for Price. I worked for Unison, which formerly was Price Systems. Dale was a colleague. I met him, I want to say in 2000 maybe, and I met him as a customer. He worked for the UK MOD. He came to work for Price. He left Price in 2010 and went on to Kinetic, but he and I have remained good friends for all of that time, and he has contributed so much to this community. Dale was an ICEAA member for as long as I knew him, or ICEAA and ICEAA, and I worked with him. He was one of those people that made, you meet a few people in your career, somebody that actually makes you better at your job. And he was one of those people. He challenged everything. He was so smart. He had so many great ideas, both as a colleague when I worked with him at Price, and after he moved on to Kinetic, we still stayed in touch. We still presented papers together. And Dale just gave so much to this community that we wanted to remember him and give the community an opportunity to share a memory of Dale. So that's what I have. I miss him, and I'm guessing a lot of the rest of us do as well. That's all I got, Megan.
Thanks, Arlene. Yeah, that was a real loss for everybody. And I join in your sentiments. Dale's fantastic, and he was, I don't like to say I've got favorites among you members, but Dale was great, and everybody should miss him. Everybody who was lucky enough to get to know him.
He made everybody better.
Absolutely. So I'm going to talk in that case about the membership. Let's give you guys a little update on what ICEAA looks like in data visualization form. So we right now, as of beginning of September, we had about 1,300 members. About 80% of them live in the US and 20 elsewhere. Some new and exciting countries we've gotten some new members from are Luxembourg and Sri Lanka. So welcome everyone around the world. Within the US, about 865 or 66%, two-thirds of them are within the industry, and then about 15%, two-thirds of the entire membership is US industry, and then 15% of the entire membership is government. You can see how that breaks up in the US members. And then within the government folks, we've got another about 80-20 split between the DoD and the other government agencies, civil agencies and whatnot. We have a handful of folks from Census, one or two from FBI. All of you guys in the private sector, most of you work for consulting firms, but a bunch of you also work for OEMs. And then elsewhere on the planet, we've got a split. It's a little more industry than government elsewhere in the US. So that's how we're standing around the world. I want to talk about this because every time I bring it up, I'm delighted to hear that more and more of you really love it. So we have a searchable table on the website of the papers and presentations that have been given throughout the years. We've got them from around 2007 when digital files were, pretty reliable, up until this past year. So I've got to update this picture because we have it through Minneapolis up on the website now. So if you're looking for a paper that you saw or inspiration or paper that's on a topic, you can search by topic, you can search by author, you can search by year or track. It's a great little feature, and it's right there on our website. You can find it on the main page under the archives, or it's also labeled on the top bar as Papers Library. And if you want to be featured in the papers library one of these days, you got to write a paper. So your next opportunity to do so is for Atlanta. We'll be back in the ATL in May, and that means we need your summaries by November 4th. That's a big day in the U.S. or right around there. So keep in mind the top clock is ticking. You have to write about 150 words to tell our judges why they should pick your paper to put on the schedule. You don't have to have your entire paper done or your presentation done just yet. Once you'll be notified that you've been accepted around December, and then we give you until late February or so to send us your draft of your presentation. So don't worry, you don't have to be done. You just have to know what you want to do, and convince us that you're going to put on a good presentation for us, and we'll get you on the schedule for Atlanta. When you think about what paper to write or what presentation to give, think also not only about what you want to write about, but when you were at the workshop, was there something you wanted to hear about? And if so, maybe you're the one who has to write that paper. We can only put on the papers that we get abstracts for, and if there's something you want to see at the workshop, then you might need to make it happen. But these are some of the keywords that came out of the feedback survey of what people wanted to see. So if these are topics that you are particularly interested in or have something you want to present about, this is going to be the sort of thing that's a hit at the workshop. Of course, looking back to the paper archive is another great place for inspiration or idea. And of course, a good spot to look for other members to collaborate with or co-author with, joining teams, more hands making for easier work, and all of that. Another thing that always happens at the workshop is the annual awards. It's always a time to think about annual awards. These are the folks who make your day a little brighter. They make the industry better and sharper and stronger for it. If there's somebody in your professional life who's been making your professional life professionally better, let us know who they are and what's made their contribution so great. The folks who receive these awards really do value and treasure them. And the fact that someone took the time to nominate them is a gift in and of itself. That doesn't actually mean you have to wait for somebody to do it for you. You can sort of, it's always easier to edit something than write it from scratch. So maybe if you think you've done something that's worth an award, start writing it up and maybe share an idea. Let a nominator plagiarize your work. I mean, you know better what you did than anybody else. We have a great little flyer that we've put up on the website on the awards page that has some tips and tricks for getting in a good nomination. I encourage everybody to look at that and start thinking about who you might want to nominate for an award this year. Around Chapterland, if you're in California, in about 2 weeks in San Pedro, the SoCal chapter is going to have their workshop at a boat harbor, I believe, or a boat club. So that should be awfully great. Head on over to ICEAonline.com/SoCal to learn more about that. And actually, Courtney Gray, since we're talking about the workshop, can you step in for us?
Sure. Hello, ICEA members. So reflecting on our workshop in Minneapolis this year, we had an absolute blast, and the feedback that we got from our attendees was overwhelmingly positive. But to echo Christina's previous comments, it was kind of a rough road getting there, since certain people who have carried most of the workload for these events year after year suddenly couldn't attend. And we recognize that we need to enlist additional help from our members if we want them to run smoothly in the future. So we've already started thinking about all the exciting ideas we have in store for you next year in Atlanta, but we are asking for help with both planning and execution. There are many different capacities in which you can volunteer depending on your bandwidth. In the months leading up to the workshop, we need people who are willing to review papers, judge award nominations, and recruit keynote speakers. You don't have to attend the workshop to serve on these committees, so this might be a better option if you'd like to lend a hand, but don't know what the future has in store for you when May rolls around. If you're interested in being our boots on the ground in Atlanta, we are always looking for people who can work the registration desk, serve as room monitors, and teach CBOC modules. Also, if you know the Atlanta area well and you can suggest some fun activities in the evening or like good restaurants, we'd love to hear those recommendations. Keep in mind that, like Kelly told us earlier, volunteering is a really great way to earn points toward recertification, or even just, doing something good for your professional community and connecting with a bunch of people who you might never get a chance to meet otherwise. So if any of these things sound like something that you're willing and able to do, you can email ICEAA@ICEAonline.org and tell us how you would like to help. Please be a peach and volunteer. See y'all in Atlanta.
Peach, that's the best thing. Fantastic. So that's the kind of committee you'll be working with. You peaches, get us all in the same basket. I tell you, I'm partial to workshop committees. It's just the funnest. It doesn't hurt that putting the workshop on is, it's the highlight of my work year. So I encourage everybody, if you like fun, that's the committee for you. So let's see, we gave everybody the opportunity to send in questions when you did your RSVP, and we got a few, plus we got one on the chat that we can talk to first. Christina, you want to read?
Oh, sorry, Megan, to interrupt.
Oh yeah.
Really quick. I forgot to mention that we have an awesome new recertification system for entering your points online. So please be sure to check out the recertification tracker. It should make tracking your points a lot easier, and you can do it right through your profile online. And then I also got a question about the exam that was sent just to me. So if we get a moment for that, will you let me know? And I'll, I don't know, is Kevin Sakat online?
Let's see. He's not. Well, actually, why don't you go first since
Okay.
you're
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the question, and unfortunately, if he's not online, I don't remember the answer. So maybe one of our executive committee does. Regarding the exam, there was a question about feedback, because in the past, when it was manually scored, you couldn't really get feedback on where your weaknesses were. Does the online exam provide any feedback on like which modules were not so good, or how you did on by subject area, or do we not offer that at this time?
Yeah, so if I remember right, because in executive committee and all board members check me, I remember this came up once when we were talking about the exam itself. And what I believe Kevin said was that if you pass, we don't give that feedback. If you don't pass, then we absolutely want to tell you areas that you should be studying. And so I do believe that's the feedback that we give to them. Megan's nodding, so I assume that's correct. If that's not correct, we will make sure to add on a little blip at the end of this YouTube video when we post it to let people know I was incorrect. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If not, that's absolutely something we can look into. But no, we want people to be certified estimators. The exam's not easy by any means, but we want you to learn these topics because it enhances the field.
That's how I remember it too, Christina. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to misspeak. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just to further clarify, you're both right. And when somebody doesn't pass, we'll say the following modules were where most of your incorrect questions came from, so we recommend you brush up on this module, that kind of thing. It's not super specific, you got question 55 wrong, right, but it tells you what areas you might need to focus on in your study.
Thank you.
No, thanks, Kelly. That was a great question, whoever sent that into Kelly. So Megan, I'm going to field a question that has also gotten a thumbs up. Guinevere Aldrich asked, when is the next issue of the journal coming out and or accepting submissions?
So that's, thank you. So thank you for your question. We are a little behind schedule on the journal. That is both because of my personal issue, and our editor had some personal issues throughout the year, and then it kind of just fell into the pile as things sort of do. We are working to get that going. We've got a queue of articles ready to go for the next few issues. I'm hoping I'm hoping we're going to get the one that's practically ready to go done by the early 25, and then we'll start the train again. Something we're always looking for in the volunteer department are those peer editors. What separates our journal from just the magazine, the magazine's more of a newsletter, and the journal we try to make more academic. We have peer review process, and it is very hard to find peers to do the reviews. So if you're not a baby kiss and handshaker, but you want to do something that you can do at home or in the privacy of wherever you like to do stuff, this is another good volunteering opportunity where we could always use more eyes on these papers. So please email the ICEAA box if you'd like to be included in that as well.
Yeah, to piggyback on that real quick, one of the notes I had to kind of close out, so just we're starting to get questions, so I want to make sure it gets hit. I think under this current executive board, we've done a really great job of engaging the juniors in a way that we haven't in the past. We're doing the cost challenge at the workshop. We had the new attendees meet up at the workshop that we got such great feedback on. To your question, Sean, I'll pass that to Courtney as well to see her thoughts. But one of the areas that I see that we still have room for improvement is, I know some people on this call have been in ICEAA, have been cost estimators for their whole career, or at least a really long career. And I really want to remind you, as you're getting to and thinking about how you can help the next generation as you're getting closer to your retirement or even into your retirement and wanting to stay active, that's a really great area to help with journal and paper reviews, help our juniors, help our mids who are trying to get those letters behind their name for certification, to get their research out there. That would be great. So again, if you're interested, please email the ICEAA inbox. That would be great. All right, so now we have other questions. So Trisha was asking, will a copy of this presentation be posted online, Megan?
Why, yes, this and almost all of ICEA's webinars are available on our YouTube channel. I should have this up have it up by right around this time tomorrow. You can find that and last week's OEM COG meeting and some other webinars we've done over the years. And like Kelly was mentioning, many of them are flagged as being qualifying for recertification points. So that's also a place where you can find some hidden points.
Thank you, Megan. Courtney, I'm going to field this one to you, so hopefully you can come off mute for this. Sean was asking, what feedback from the Minneapolis conference was most interesting or most applicable in the future? Love to hear your feedback on that one.
Yeah, so like Christina said, for the first time this year in Minneapolis, we had something called the Monday Night Mixer. And that was a kind of a social event, a happy hour, if you will, with some fun icebreaker games. And it was targeted toward those people that were first timers to the workshop, or people that were the only person from their own organization who was in attendance. So just a way to get people to like meet each other before the workshop even begins, so that when they walk in on Tuesday morning for breakfast, they already have a friend that they've met and can go and sit down and have a meal with them. So that was really well received by a lot of people. We're looking to do that again next year. As far as things that we might want to work on, like we said, the attendance for the Monday one, I think that was great because it's at the beginning of the week. People are really charged up. And as you start to get toward the end of the week, I don't know, maybe people get a little petered out by the end of it. So we're trying to find some more ways to kind of reinvigorate that the reception on Wednesday evening. So we're looking at ways we can do that, as well as enticing people to really stay for the rest of the conference into Thursday as well. We know that some people kind of have to leave early, but if you can stay, we want to entice you to stay for the entire conference.
Excellent answer. And Sean, if you're interested in seeing some of the feedback, we like doing data analytics on it. So reach out to us. Be interesting to see what you think when you're pulling this, going through the feedback, what you see. Okay. So unfortunately, like I said, Jennifer Kirchhofer, as Vice President, Professional Development, is not on the line. The next two questions are in that realm. So I'm going to try to probably myself and Kelly answer them the best we can. So the first one from Ian was, have tailored regional versions of CBOC been considered? I'm assuming by regional, we're talking country-based, since they are very specific. Or one of the feedback we've gotten about CBOC is it is DoD specific and US DoD specific. It has been considered. It has been brought to the board's attention numerous times that it really affects, for instance, Canada needs to have anything that their government does needs to be bilingual. The problem with that is it's a lot harder to translate all of the material that we have from English to French. We've tried that. We've looked into what the cost of that would be and how much impact that would have. So yeah, we've absolutely considered that. And if there's one specific region you're thinking of, please let us know if that's something. And Kelly is our principal of CBOC. So Kelly, I'm going to let you answer as well.
Yeah, so that actually was something that Dale Sherman and I were trying to tackle before he became ill. And it is really challenging because it's a lot of the content. So I led the effort to help lead the effort to move the old CBOC to the new format. We did a ton of editing. There was a whole team of people that did an amazing job. We scrubbed what we could then, but there are sections that there's so much content there that it would have been a whole rewrite, which was not in the scope of that work. So as we go through and update modules, which is an effort that we're working on, it's a volunteer effort. So, it takes time, but as we target specific modules for updates, we are very mindful going forward not to make such specific references to DoD and to try to make the content more accessible or more on an international or global scale. So that is something that we're always thinking about and trying to improve as we go forward. But we just don't have the funding or the volunteer capacity at this time to just rewrite entire sections all at once. So that said, if there are volunteers out there who want to help with rewriting modules that need new content, please reach out to me and we can try to coordinate that. We've got one in the works right now and another one that we just started. So stay tuned for updates and we'll continue to try to slowly replace that content in the CBOC.
And then last one we have right now in the chat is from Alicia. And Megan, can points accumulated over the 5 years be used for both CCEA and SCEC recertification if you have both?
I am embarrassed to say I don't want to go on record as remembering the right answer to this right now. I feel like we discussed this and I can't remember what the solution was. So because it's not even been a year since we've had the SCEC yet. So in all honesty, I apologize. I don't remember. Let's look it back to you, and Alicia, I'll send you an email directly on that.
Yeah, Megan, when we upload it on YouTube, let's put the answer on that in case anybody else is interested. But same thing, we haven't had anyone need to recertify yet because that's a future us problem. The exam's not even that old. So, but thank you, Alicia. It's good to know that the membership cares about that and is paying attention to the points. So Kelly, see, someone's watching, they care. All right, that's right. So with that, we have 5 minutes left. I want to close this out on a really high note. ICEAA as an organization has meant so much to me in my career. I've been a cost analyst for 20 years now, been very active in ICEAA for most of that time, and have just continued to take on more and more leadership roles. I asked our board members to send me what ICEAA actually means to them. I think every now and then it's important to think, instead of just joining, it's so easy in our technological age to just join and be a part of any organization and say, well, I do this, check in the box. What's it doing for me? The more active I have been involved in ICEAA, the more I feel like I've gotten a benefit of it. I think it has given me opportunities to public speak where I don't mind being on a webinar like this or stand in front of a crowd of 500 people in Minneapolis, where at the beginning of my career, I would have been terrified of that. I think it has pushed me. I've been introduced to people that aren't in my company that have questioned me, and in ways that my company, the people doing QA or my customer haven't questioned, and have made me a stronger analyst. So to me, being a member of ICEAA has given so much value. I also wanted to share one from Tim Anderson, because one, who doesn't love Tim Anderson? He's one of our most, he's always there as a board member and as an ICEAA member. He's provided so much to all of us through at least my career. So this is what Tim's response was, and I thought it was a good note to close out. I first joined ICEAA back in 1994 when it was known as the Society for Cost Estimating and Analysis. My membership in the society has played a major role in my professional development as a cost analyst. The most obvious benefit is networking with the other professional cost analysts. Through my membership, I've had many opportunities to connect with and get to know cost analysts across the spectrum, from government to ICEAA to industry. These connections have opened lines of communication, data sharing, and understanding that would have otherwise been unavailable to me. The second most obvious benefit is the many opportunities to present papers, receive feedback, obtain continuing education, and learn about models and methods from other people's perspectives. Also, the friendships I have gained over the years through my involvement in the society have been invaluable. Cost analysis is a niche profession that has very high demand. If you are new to cost estimating and analysis, I cannot overstate the importance of becoming a member of this society, contributing to it, and learning from it. The benefits of membership are incalculable. I think that's perfectly stated, Tim. So with that, thank you all for your time. If you have any questions, please reach out to Megan or myself, and I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day.